Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us from the True Stories collection. As in, it actually happened at an event I was actually judging. Amy attacks Nick with Teysa, Opulent Oligarch, and it connects. That was the only time anybody lost life this turn. At the beginning of the end step, how many times does Amy investigate? Oh, I almost forgot to mention, this happened in a two-headed giant game, so Amy and Nick are both playing with a partner. Okay, so there's a reason I don't usually run 2HG questions on this channel, even though it is a format that has rules questions come up, and those questions even appear on judge exams, so I can't say it isn't important. The thing is, there aren't a lot of really interesting questions specific to this format. I would say about 80% of the questions that I see could be answered by the golden rule of 2HG, which is that there are 4 players, 2 opponents, and only 1 you. So if Amy played a maggot carrier, then she would definitely get to investigate twice since each opponent lost life. Around 19% of the remaining 2HG questions have 2 or more plausible answers, and the correct ruling depends on knowing the specific rule in the CR that covers that specific case. So for the case described in our original problem statement, here's the rules you would have needed to know. Because 2HG uses the shared team's turns option, that means that when Amy is attacking, she has to choose which player on the opposing team each of her creatures is attacking. Therefore, only Nick is considered to have been dealt combat damage, and according to this rule, that means that although the life total that Nick and his teammate share has gone down, only Nick is considered to have lost life this turn. Therefore, Amy investigates only once. By the way, in real 2HG games, no one ever says which player that they're attacking because hardly anybody knows about this rule. And since you're allowed to block creatures that are attacking your teammate or their planeswalkers, it generally doesn't come up very much. Usually only when one of the players has a ghostly prison or something like that. So if it does happen to become significant after the players have already attacked, the default is to assume that each attacking player attacked the opponent seated directly across from them. This adds an interesting wrinkle to this question if Amy attacked with 2 creatures and she didn't say who she was attacking. If Amy knew that she could get an extra investigate by just saying that she was attacking 1 creature to each opponent instead of both at Nick, then there's no reason she wouldn't do so. On the other hand, the official shortcut says that Amy would have to specifically say she was making that attack in order to get the extra benefit. If this was a competitive Rel 2HG game, I would be forced to side with the official policy. If Amy didn't say who each creature was attacking, then they're both considered to have attacked the person sitting directly across from her. Given that this happened at regular Rel, though, the judge would have a lot more latitude. The fixes at regular Rel are meant to prioritize education and fun. The way I see it, punishing Amy for not knowing a rule most players don't doesn't align well with either of those ideals. So I would be likely to allow Amy to investigate twice if Nick's team had no blockers. On the other hand, the decision gets a lot murkier if Nick's team might have altered their blocking decisions based on knowing how this works. Then we're basically right back to where we started. In such a case, I would be more likely to say that if Amy wants to get extra advantage, she should have to display extra knowledge of the rules in order to do so. Ultimately, the amount of judge's discretion present at regular Rel precludes giving a neat answer to whether Amy should or should not get to investigate twice in the case where she attacked with 2 creatures without saying who she was attacking. If it was my ruling, I would take into account the board state, how likely it is that the players would have changed their attacking or blocking decisions based on the extra information, and the general casual or competitive nature of the environment to inform my decision. I'd be interested to hear from those in the comments what your view of the best ruling is. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.